Usually people start on like this part of the bachelorette party first, and then it's like dramatic and challenging and everything. So following this process exactly how I have it laid out will make everything super easy and straightforward for you. Hey blushing brides and maids of honor, welcome back to my channel for the ultimate bachelorette planning video. This is going to be the complete guide to planning the best bachelorette party ever. This is the second video in my Maid of Honor series, so if you haven't watched the first one, you'll want to go back and watch that. And then if you haven't already, be sure that you grab that Maid of Honor manual and workbook. It's especially important for this part of the process because there's just so much to organize and so much to get together, and that makes it easy breezy, and you can just walk through step by step, get it all figured out, and get everything easily planned and organized. So in this video, I'll walk you through the actual worksheets in the workbook because it's just laid out so nicely step by step, and that's the best way to go about this big project. Because it is kind of a big project, but it's going to be totally easy and totally great as long as you're organized and know exactly what you need to be doing. All right, let's dive into some bachelorette party planning. Of this section is going to be a little coffee date with the bride where you're going to ask her some specific questions about the vibe that she is wanting for the bachelorette party. It's so important that you do this. You do not want to assume that you know what she wants, and you do not want to start planning a bachelorette party that you would want for yourself. That is not the assignment here. That is not what we're doing. So you really need to grab coffee, whether it's virtually or in real life, and sit down and ask the bride these questions before you start planning anything. So the first question you'll want to discuss, and it's on your little worksheet, there's a place for you to take notes on it, is what vibe does the bride want for the bachelorette party? Is she wanting like a relax and recharge weekend, maybe like more spa day stuff? Or is she wanting like a crazy party last fling weekend, or something more adventurous, or a little bit of everything? You just need to sit down and find out what she's really wanting her vibe of the whole weekend to be. And then the next question is, does the bride already have a specific location decided on for the bachelorette party, or would she like your help with some suggestions? If she does not have a location decided on already, then you'll want to find out kind of what the high-level setting is that she wants. Does she want the desert, the beach, the mountain? Is it going to be in the city or out in the country? Or like, does she imagine you guys poolside? What is the bride envisioning for the location of the bachelorette party weekend? And then once you have some specific details here, then you can come back to her a little bit later with like 3 different cities as options, and then she can pick from those. And then you'll also want to ask her if she's wanting like a resort or like a cozy cottage home or like a cabin or some sort of luxury home. And you're not going to go pick this out right now. You'll want to just sit down and fill out this worksheet, and then you can go off and do your research later and then work with the bride a little bit later. But you want to get this part of the worksheet completely done while you're sitting down with the bride, and then you can start working on the research portion later. The next question is, which dates work with the bride's schedule? I recommend having her pick 3 weekends that would work for her. Typically, you have the bachelorette party 1 to 3 months before the big day. I don't like to get any closer than that to the big day because there's just so much going on that it actually ends up being like a little bit more stressful than it needs to be. So doing 1 to 3 months out is typically the perfect time period. So have the bride go through her calendar and pick 3 weekends that would work for her. And then the next thing you'll want to discuss with her is her expected per person budget. What is the bride kind of expecting everyone to spend on this trip? And when we're putting budget together, I have more details on getting all of the budget stuff figured out in a minute, but just keep in mind when you're talking with the bride about this at this point that it does not include airfare. So if all the other girls need to buy plane tickets as well, just keep that in mind when you're kind of coming up with a per person budget. And then you'll also at this time want to discuss if there's any bridesmaids that will need some extra sensitivity to the budget that you can make sure that you are working with independently outside of the group when you are figuring out the budget for everyone. It's good just to have a heads up as to anyone who might be like, yeah, that's fine, but they actually cannot afford it at all. Just having a little extra information from the bride might be helpful on this. And then the next thing that you'll want to discuss with the bride at this time is if there's anything about the bachelorette party that is stressing her out, and if there is anything that you can do to mitigate that stress. We want to have all drama, all stresses solved before this party so that it can be as fun and memorable and relaxing as possible for all of you. So that's it for the part with the bride. The next part is going to be with the bridesmaids, and usually you'll just post this in the group chat or however you're doing it and get the info that way. But the next question is going to be, which of the 3 dates given by the bride work for most of the bridesmaids? Especially if there's a lot of you going, there might not be a date that is ideal for everyone, but it's just gonna kind of have to be a voting situation. So on the worksheet, you'll write out each of the possible dates that she gave, and then give the bridesmaids a due date as to when they need to tell you this information too, and it can be really quickly. You don't want them to be putting this off and delaying your plans because they're not responding. So say like, hey, respond by the end of the week, which of these 3 dates is best for you? And then there's a place on the worksheet where you can write out for each of the dates which of the girls can attend, and then whichever one has the most bridesmaids on it is probably the one that you'll pick. There might be a specific bridesmaid that the bride really wants to be there, and so you might pick a different date than actually the one that works best for everyone. But once you have all the dates and all the bridesmaids who can go, then you can sit down with the bride and tell her the information, and then sit down and decide on the official bachelorette party date. And then once you have the date figured out, like I said, there's so much information and so much planning going into this that you kind of want to like hurry people along, give them due dates, and make sure that they're responding quickly so that you can do your part as quickly as you can. The next part is going to be the per person budget section. So you'll write out each of the bridesmaids' names on the worksheet, and then you'll text them individually. You do not want to do this in the group setting because people might not feel fully comfortable saying what they really need in the group setting. So you'll reach out to each of them individually, send them a text, say, hey, what are you comfortable spending? This is what the bride is thinking for the weekend, but let me know if you are comfortable spending that, less than that, or more than that. And then you can write out all the information on one sheet. And then again, once you have all of that, make sure you get it quickly, make sure you give them due dates and stay on top of people so that you can get this done in an efficient manner. Then you can sit down with the bride and show her everything and decide on a per person budget as well. So you really need to have that date picked out and the per person budget before you can plan anything else. But once you do have that, then you can pick the official bachelorette party location. So you're gonna take the bride's vision for the setting, whether maybe she already has the location picked out and it makes it super easy on you. If not, then you'll take the vision of the vibe and the setting and give her 3 options that would also be you'll be able to do in the budgets that you were given, and then have the bride pick her favorite from there. If she doesn't like any of the 3 options, then you can go back and give her 3 more. When you are giving the 3 options, you might want to also give her ideas of activities that you could do there, like wine tasting in Napa, or spa day in the desert, or whatever. Whatever the main activity would be, kind of give the bride an idea when you are proposing the different locations, so she can really have a vision for what it's going to be like at each place. And then once you have the location, then you can pick the rental house. So I have a little worksheet that walks you through figuring out the exact minimum and maximum per night fee that you can spend on the rental house, so you can set those filters. I recommend just going with an Airbnb. I think that's the easiest possible way to do this. If somebody has a house somewhere or a family house somewhere that you are able to use, that's amazing, do that. But if not, Airbnb is the way to go. But you'll want to complete this little worksheet that walks you through your minimum and maximum per night budget so that you know what you're looking for. It just makes it a little bit easier for you. The same as like with the locations, you're gonna pick out 3 houses in a specific location and then let the bride pick from there. And you also wanna make sure those houses are in your budget. Maybe you could find a less expensive one, a medium one, and a like more higher end one. And the worksheet also gives you like the minimum and maximum, so you'll know exactly what you're looking for. Usually people start on like this part of the bachelorette party first, and then it's like dramatic and challenging and everything. So following this process exactly how I have it laid out will make everything super easy and straightforward for you. And then once you have the location booked, then it's time to have everyone start booking their travel. I have 2 worksheets in here on the Bridesmaids Travel, so you'll want them to let you know their arrival plans and their departure plans. You'll write out each bridesmaid and the arrival time, whether it's a flight or if they're driving or whatever. I like to have it all laid out right here so that you can pair people up who will be arriving at the same time. So like they can get Ubers from the airport together, or maybe 2 people are leaving from like the same city, but it's like a little bit of a drive, they could drive together. Just kind of laying this out and knowing where everyone's coming from can totally help all of them out. And this will also help you with the activity plans as well, knowing when people are going to be arriving and what time they need to be departing on the last day. All right, so for the next part, you don't need to have all the Bridesmaids Travel info quite yet. You can just get them booking it and give them a due date so that you can start collecting the information. You can start on the activity planning right away. The next thing we're gonna do is pick out the activities, the attractions, and the restaurants for the weekend. So if the bride has something specific that she wants to do, then you'll wanna find that and get that booked. If she's not sure, then I would suggest just kind of getting a list of things and then proposing it to her and seeing which things she wants to do the most. I have a sample 2-day bachelorette party itinerary in here as well as a 1-day. So whether you're doing 2 days or 1 day, you can look at the one that goes with it. But this will kind of give you an idea of how many activities and restaurants and stuff that you do need to book and kind of the timing on how everything goes. So I've done this like pretty specific schedule multiple times for bachelorette parties and then also for girls retreats, and it's worked amazing. So I think it's kind of like the best possible way to go. But I give you the full sample worksheet, and then you get a couple worksheets to start figuring out your actual one with your actual activity and attraction plans in there as well. Before you finalize your itinerary and send it out, be sure that you actually have reservations booked for everything, because you might want to go to a restaurant on a specific night and then you call and they aren't able to accommodate you, or they need to accommodate you at a later time, so you need to move everything around. So you want to make sure that you actually book stuff, and you want to have it booked like at least a month before you go. The earlier you can book it, the better. So there's a page for your draft itinerary and then for your final one. So you'll draft up your itinerary and then go through it with the bride and then call and make reservations for everything, and then you can come up with your final itinerary. And you can totally just like copy and use like my exact sample itinerary in here if you need to. Maybe I'll go through that really quick. So usually on the first day, it's like a Friday, everyone arrives and checks into the Airbnb or wherever you're staying at around 3 p.m. And at this time, I recommend placing the grocery and snack Instacart order. I'll go through it a little bit more in depth, but I have some suggestions that you do a group of girls that makes breakfast one of the days, a group of girls that makes lunch, and that like plans it out and everything. So they'll send you a grocery list of all the ingredients that they need way beforehand, so that you can like start grocery shopping and getting the cart ready, so that like right when you get there, you can add some snacks, add some drinks, whatever you need, and get that order placed, so you're not spending like 2 hours running around the grocery store with the entire bachelorette party. That's a huge waste of time. And especially if you're flying, this is something you can literally be doing on the plane. Just type in the address in the Instacart box of the house that you're staying at, and then you're able to like start a cart there. So you'll want to place your Instacart order, and then 6 p.m. order dinner from DoorDash. You'll want to research beforehand the restaurants. You can do this in DoorDash by putting in the house address so that you know who delivers there. And then you can also get everyone's orders beforehand, so this doesn't take forever. And then you can just put it in and place it probably like an hour, maybe 30 minutes before you're wanting to do dinner. So dinner at 6 p.m. and then usually do a girls' night in. So do dinner and hang out and get to know each other and connect. And then you can do like a little icebreaker game or some drinking games or some get to know you games. And then also if you are going to do any gifts for the bride, this is a good time to do that as well. I need to put together an entire video on ideas for bachelorette party activities because I could go on and on about a million different things that you can do here, but that will be to come. Keep an eye out on my channel for that. For now, we're just going to work on the schedule. So just plan on playing some games, see if there's anything specific that the bride wants to do. One of the ones that I have done that was really fun is we each got the bride a lingerie set and wrapped it and then didn't put the front tag on it. And then she would unwrap it and guess which girl gave her which set. And so that was kind of a fun little game. And then she also got a ton of new lingerie for her honeymoon. So that was really fun, cute idea. And then you kind of like get to know each other as well. And there's also online a ton of like other games that you can play. You might not want to do anything too competitive, especially if you know there's any tension between any of the bridesmaids. Don't get too crazy here. Try to keep it like just fun and light and like connecting so that you all can get to know each other. So the next day, depending on how your night went the night before, if you like drank too much the night before, then this might not be the first thing you do the next morning. But I suggest doing a 9 a.m. yoga class or hike. Depending on how many of you there are, you might be able to just have a yoga teacher come to the house and do it for you at the house. That's really fun. But if you are somewhere beautiful that has great hikes, you might want to plan a hike as well. And then you can make this activity optional. And then at 10 a.m., group 1 makes breakfast. Having some of the girls help with the food is such a huge thing off of your plate, so you're not like trying to plan everything and then shop for everything and make everything, and you're actually able to enjoy the weekend. And then if there are girls who do like cooking or do like entertaining, then this is actually fun for them. Like I love putting together a really pretty like yogurt bar for breakfast in the morning, and then one of our friends makes pancakes and one of our friends does eggs or whatever. I think that this is the best way to do it, and then it's also kind of a little bit more budget friendly for everyone too. You're not like just ordering in for every single meal. And then as far as the groceries, if you are putting, like for this I have 2 groups of people, so if it's like a party of 6, then you could have 3 girls do breakfast and 3 girls do lunch. But if it is a bigger group, then you can just have everyone pitch in on groceries and a few girls do the meal planning for each of the meals. So group 1 makes breakfast, and you'll want them to make sure that you let them know that they will be making breakfast so they can start planning, and give them a due date as to like when they're gonna tell you what they're making and what their plan is, so that you can start that grocery list so that you can easily and quickly order everything on your way in. The weekend goes so fast, you don't want to be spending your time trying to figure out what you're supposed to be eating or walking through the grocery store and stuff like that. If you can get all of these details nailed down beforehand, and I have worksheets for this part too, it just helps you so much. It just makes it so that everything flows way smoother and you're not wasting time on silly things. So after breakfast, then you can do an optional spa treatment or pool day. If you are doing spa stuff, I wouldn't make this like required for everyone, especially if some of the people are on a tighter budget, but this might be really fun and really connecting and something that the bride wants to do. So just kind of find out from the group what they want to do. If they don't want to do that, then you can all just kind of do a pool day and hang out. And then at 12:30, group 2 makes the lunch that they already planned and you already grocery shopped for. And then after lunch, then you can do some sort of shopping, attraction, or activity. If you are doing like some sort of specific activity or something, you might want to have matching outfits for that. Like maybe if you're renting a boat, it's fun to get cute matching bikinis or something like that. Just kind of see what the bride wants to do. But if you are going to do matching outfits, you want to include it on the itinerary and make sure that everybody shops for it before they come. And then 6:30 p.m. you're going to leave for your dinner reservations. I would call Ubers 20 to 30 minutes beforehand. The other thing you can do is just hire a car service so you don't even have to worry about it. If you are renting cars while you're there or somebody has their own car and you are driving, be sure that you specifically decide on a designated driver before you guys go out. We don't want to be deciding that later. And then you also want to pick out the outfits for that night. Maybe you want to do all the girls in like black dresses and the bride in a white dress or something like that. If the bride's into it, you can totally do it. If she's not, then don't worry about it. But you might want to give outfit ideas for this depending on how nice the restaurant is. If you're going to a super nice restaurant, then you might want to let everyone know so that they can dress accordingly. And then after dinner, you'll head out for your girls' night out. So make sure that you do your research on this, list specific clubs or places that you want to go, and try to get table reservations if you can, so that you're not wasting your time waiting in lines and stuff. And then Sunday morning, you're going to want to complete the checkout list and pack. I recommend reviewing that checkout list sometime before that morning so you know how much you have to do. Some Airbnbs you don't have to do anything, but some of them you need to like have all the dishes done and all the trash taken out and all the sheets off the bed. So just know what you need to be doing and maybe assign a few girls to like take on this task, just so that you can get it all done and there's no extra fees. I like to do a brunch reservation at a cute restaurant. If you are doing your bachelorette party in Palm Springs, my favorite thing in the world, I've done this multiple times now, is the Pink Cabana restaurant. You have to get reservations early in advance. But doing the Pink Cabana restaurant on the way out, you can like get some mimosas. It's really cute. Just do a nice little brunch and then you can talk about all the memories that you made and all the fun that you had that weekend. And then if you want to do matching outfits for brunch, be sure that you put that in the itinerary. And then the 12 p.m. departure. So then everyone would just leave after brunch. And then I'm not going to go through the entire one-day schedule here. It's just basically a condensed version of that. But if you are just doing a one-day, one-night bachelorette party, I have a sample in here for you as well in the Maid of Honor manual and workbook. So that's the kind of the idea of the flow of the weekend. I've done that multiple times and it's just worked out really amazing. I've done it with like just a few girls and I've also done it with a much larger party and it's worked out great both times. So it's kind of a tried and true way of doing this. I know it can seem like a huge task, especially if you're not used to planning things like this. But like I said, grab those worksheets from my manual and just use those to walk through every single thing. Don't try to do this on your own. I do this all the time, so just use my process and it will be easy. Easy, flawless, and actually really, really fun. And then I have just a few more worksheets in here. The food and drink planner, so you'll know like what meal it is, who's planning and who's cooking, and then the stuff that they need from the store. You want to fill that out beforehand, and then you'll also want to do a list of snacks and a list of drinks, alcoholic and non-alcoholic, just so that you can get everything ordered. You can even do a liquor store order, DoorDash order as well. And then I also have a decor checklist as well. So I recommend doing stuff that can fit in your suitcase or spreading it out through a couple of girls' suitcases. That's the easiest way to do this. If for some reason you do have a pretty large bachelorette party budget or the bride wants to throw in some money here, you could also hire like a florist or a little event planner at the place that you're going to go in and decorate the place beforehand. That would be a little bit more expensive, but if you have the budget, then totally do it so you don't have to worry about it. You can also order Amazon boxes to the place if you really need to. And that can get a little bit like hard, so I don't recommend doing that. Just try to fit as much in your suitcases as possible. Things like balloons and streamers and stuff like that. I have an entire video coming up on bachelorette party theme ideas where I'll show you tons of different decor ideas as well. So make sure that you're subscribed so you don't miss that. But yeah, so the worksheet basically just is a checklist so that you'll know everything that you want, where you're planning on placing it. And then if I have a little checklist of purchased and ready. So if you are DIYing some stuff, you might have all the supplies purchased, but then once you complete the project and put the sign together or whatever you're making, then you can mark that as ready. A few extra bachelorette party tips. Make sure that you find out everyone's social media preferences beforehand. It's good to just know if there's somebody who prefers to not be put on social media or not be tagged on social media in any of the photos, just so that you can let the group know. Or maybe the bride wants to keep her bachelorette party a little bit more private. If everybody's good with posting to social media, come up with a hashtag that you can all use so that you can all look through the photos later. My next tip is have all reservations, foods, activities, attractions made no later than 1 month before the bachelorette party so that you know for sure that you can get in at the specific times and it doesn't mess up your schedule. Like I said, this weekend will fly by. It's a lot of fun, but the time goes by so fast that you don't want to spend any of your precious time together, like waiting to get into a restaurant or to do an attraction or something, or have your hopes up that you're going to do something specific and then you can't get in to do it. So just make sure that you're super prepared and make reservations as much as possible for this. Another super helpful tip here is to make the room and sleeping arrangements beforehand, and don't involve everybody in this. It gets to be way too much, especially with larger parties. Sit down with the bride, ask her if she has any suggestions as to who should be together or if there's anybody that should not be together, and just like write it out and be like, this is what we're doing, and give it to the girls. And then if they want to switch rooms between them or whatever, they can do that. But like trying to make every single person happy and trying to like make this all work is going to be super stressful and just take way too much time. Just stick with the bride's little tips that she gives you and put this together, and everyone's going to have to deal with it. There's too many people and too many logistics for everyone to have everything exactly how they want it. And then the last thing is you want to ask the bride if she wants to do welcome gifts and favors, and ask if she needs help with that. Typically the bride will pay for this because it's like a little gift from the bride to the girls, but she might want your help in putting them together or shopping for them. And there you have it, the entire amazing, so much fun bachelorette party. I know it can seem like a lot, especially if you've not done this before, but like I said, go grab my workbook, just follow through the worksheets. They'll walk you through every single step in the process for you to book an amazing bachelorette party. Don't try to reinvent the wheel here. I've already done it. I've done it so many times, and I have an amazing process that works. So I will link that in the description below. Go grab that. If you have any specific questions or tips, be sure you post them in the comments. If this video was helpful, please give it a thumbs up. And then stay tuned for part 3 of the series, which is everything that you need to be doing on the wedding day. Have so much fun, have an amazing bachelorette party, and I will see you next time.
We are the girls gone wild. How much more